Hi there, this is Serial Cynic again. That's Serial Cynic. First of all, forgive me for looking off to this side over here. I'm looking at the camera, just instinct. I have the camera held in a landscape fashion, so it's a little difficult to try to keep my face looking over here so I can look at you guys. So I'll try to see if I can look there so my eyes will be looking at you guys. Okay? I want to thank you for tuning in, by the way. I am here at the Metropolitan Museum of Art here in New York City. I'm over here in the American Wing, as they call it. As you can see behind me, some rather interesting vases. You can probably see down further, over on the other side. And if you want to see what's in front of me, I'm looking outside right now, looking up into Central Park. Anyway, I'm here today. Have a topic in my mind, so I just figured I'll just go ahead and spit it out right now. And the topic is about, and of course, I'm out here doing this in public, okay? So you may see me looking around every now and again because sometimes there's some distractions, and hopefully no one comes through here and interrupts this video. Just bear with me. Hopefully none of the guards come in here and tell me get up and get out, since I've been sitting here for quite some time. But anyway, the topic I wanted to talk about today is about conspiracy theories. I'm bringing it up not because I'm going to say that I have not held one or held some at some point in my life, nor am I here to beat anyone over their heads and say, hey, all people who believe in those things are just crazy people. I'm definitely not going to say that or think that. A lot of brilliant people out there who hold this ideas that they think certain things happen. They may not have an answer for it, but they speculate. Or some people feel that they know the truth and they know what's going on and no one can tell them otherwise. One of the reasons why I have issues with conspiracy theories, though, and again, I'm not saying all of them are wrong, and I'm not saying that some of them have not been proven to be true. That definitely has been the case in some situations. My only thing with them is that in the world of social media today, where so much, to borrow a term, fake news has been going around, and so many people have fallen for fake information, unverified information, and passed it around to where they multiply exponentially, I think that it's something that we need to look at and something that we need to be aware of, that we're not susceptible and fall for these things. I have fallen for them, admittedly. You know, I've been on the internet for about close to 20 years now, if not, yeah, next year is probably going to be about 20 years that I've been on the internet. And I can remember one of the first things that I did was there was a story or something was being passed around, and it was about those little colorful balls that you see, I guess it's like in a playpen like you would see sometimes at McDonald's or Burger King. And someone was passing a story around that we should not put our children in there because there are people, or there are snakes in there. Someone found a snake in there and the snake bit somebody's child and whatever. I did not know at the time I was passing around or mentioning or forwarding what was known as an urban legend back in those days. That's what we call them. Nowadays, people don't look at these things as urban legends anymore. People are looking at these things as facts. Now, as I speak here about conspiracy theories, generally a lot of times it involves, or the narrative of a conspiracy generally surrounds the government or governments. And I'm not going to sit here and say that our government here in the United States or governments in the past or whatever the case may be in other parts of the world have not engaged in some real shady things. I can go and give a long list of things that our government has been involved in. Covert operations, destabilizing other countries, meddling in their elections, causing turmoil and tension and so forth. Yes, these things have happened. My only problem when it comes around with conspiracy theories is this one answer fits all situations type of thing. I think that's completely unfair and wrong to do. Not only that, for example, like we've had these recent school shootings over the past few years, and you have people out there basically saying that these things did not happen. These things were sponsored by the government, or the government is the one behind it because they want to cause distractions here and there. Again, governments have done things like that before. But to take a situation that took place in 1963, 1955, 1987, 1992, where the government was caught with their hands in a cookie jar doing something, and then turning around and saying, well, hey, if they did it there, they must be the ones doing it over here too. It's not the correct way to assess something. And this is what a lot of people have done. And I'm getting to something here because I'm getting to a current story that's going on right now that proves what I'm talking about. One of the things with these conspiracy theories, though, especially when it involves a tragedy, a plane falls out of the sky, students unfortunately shot in a school or something along that line, is that these conspiracy-minded people will have answers almost immediately. Something can happen in California, a plane can crash, and maybe there was a prominent figure on there, somebody who's well known, maybe a doctor, maybe a dentist, maybe some entertainer or whatever the case might be. And there are people who are quick to, hey, you know, that plane crashed because the government wanted to take down the plane because there was a doctor on there who wanted to expose this, or there was a scientist on there who found out about such and such, so they brought the plane down to take that person out. Or there's a school shooting somewhere, and it's like, hey, it didn't happen for real. Those people were actors. It was a false flag. The government is just trying to... Meanwhile, you have people over here bleeding for real, people dying, families mourning, and you have someone on the internet coming up with answers to what happened almost immediately. I can understand. It's the human mind. We don't like to not know something. And when we don't know something, we feel that we need to fill in the blanks with something. Basically, that's how a lot of religion started. We don't know something. We don't have the answers as yet. So guess what? We fill it in with gods. We fill it in with demons. This ailment is happening because a demon took this person over. Or, hey, this happened for me and it benefited me, so God must have done it. When we don't understand something, the human mind wants to fill in the blanks. We want to make sense of something that makes no sense to us. That's why you can have people sitting next to you telling you what heaven is like. They've never been there. But they'll tell you what somebody said in a book someplace that said heaven is paved with gold. Or there's 70 virgins up there waiting for you. We just fill in the blanks because our mind just hates not knowing. So whenever there's a tragedy or something going on and we don't understand, or it seems like a mystery, the human mind goes into overdrive. Hey, well, this must have happened. This happened. The government shot it down. The government did this. That happened. Aliens built it. This is what These are basically how these things go down. And it's unfortunate. Again, some of these things can be true, and a lot of them are really not. But what I was getting at, and of course, there's a lot more I could say about all of that, but what I was getting at, a perfect example is this. In the past week or two, there has been a story about an employee from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, down in Atlanta. The person has gone missing. And now that he's gone missing, the conspiracies are flying all over the place. And a lot of it has to do with the line of work that he does and where he works. Because people think that down there at this center, there are diseases in there that the government plays around with, and somehow they're out there trying to kill people. So they're dreaming up of new diseases out there to go ahead and kill people with. Again, you can understand where people will run off with this because, yes, the government in the past have sponsored things like the Tuskegee experiment and, practice on people, so to speak. So needless to say, people are not going to trust a center for disease control. They're not going to look at it as being an agency for something good. They're going to look at it as some secretive thing down there in Atlanta where the government is just hatching up new diseases to kill people with. Anyway, this gentleman disappeared. I have to credit most of the mainstream news media that they're sticking with just that. He disappeared. They're looking into perhaps why, but no one is speculating and coming up with any bright ideas. But that has not stopped certain conspiracy sites and blogs from running with the story. Again, because the person's from the CDC. Now, once he's from there, the narrative in the conspiracy world is, hey, they kidnapped him, they killed him, they silenced him because he was exposing them for something that they're doing down there. The funny thing about it, that's not part of the story at all. How this all unfolded was like this. Back in January, there's a website known as Your News Wire. Your News Wire is known for putting up some nonsensical things. Conspiracies, that is, that have been debunked 1 billion times over, that turned out to be nothing. And I'm talking about some extreme nonsense they have put up. They were the only site or the only place that came up with the story that an anonymous doctor was going around saying, I shouldn't say going around, but an anonymous doctor stated that this flu season was started because of the current flu shot. I think the doctor supposedly allegedly went on to say that he has administered shots to people who went on to die and that it scares the crap out of him. And the suggestion is, I would not get it if I were you. So with that story circulating, people were like, hey, I'm staying away from that flu shot. Now, granted, it has been admitted that the flu shot for this year's flu season is not as potent in dealing with the flu as in the past. And the answer for that is that the flu shot is basically a shot that is built on prediction. They sort of predict or gauge what kind of flu strain is going to be passing around for a particular year, and they create the vaccines based on that. Well, it seems like it's not always an exact science, and it seems like they kind of missed it. It wasn't the best prediction, so the flu shot has not been as potent to take care of the flu or to resist the flu as in the past. Some people have died after taking the flu shot, and some people have gone with the causation problem. Hey, that person got the flu shot, they died a week later, it must be the flu shot that killed them. People have died from the flu without getting the shot. Some have died after getting the shot. And as a result, people have just run with that without understanding a whole lot of other factors that could have been involved. Immune system. Flu shot not that effective. You still end up with the actual flu and you die from the flu, but you happen to get it after you took the flu shot. So anyway, this employee goes missing. And with him missing, people have gone ahead and just run with certain stories. He's been kidnapped. They try to silence him and whatever. So when this news story came out from Your News Wire, and they put the story out saying this anonymous doctor said whatever, they had no source, there was no information provided beyond that statement or those statements. Then, like a godsend, something happened to a CDC employee. All of a sudden, they came out with a news story saying that was the doctor who said so. No proof there, but that's what they said. So now they had a face that they can put to their anonymous doctor. They never mentioned it in the first story. They just said anonymous. All of a sudden, this guy goes missing. All of a sudden, he's a doctor. There's a little bit of a problem there, though. This guy is not a doctor in the sense of being a doctor of medicine, a person that administers shots. He's a medical scientist. He does not go around administering shots. He also works in a division of the CDC that deals with chronic diseases, not infectious diseases. Then the last thing is, his parents have debunked such a story. They said they received some texts from him. They were a little disturbing, and they have not revealed much. But from what it seems like I'm gathering, it seems like there were some personal issues going on. And now the story has also come to light that this gentleman was up for a promotion and did not get it. And when he found out he was not getting the promotion, he basically called in sick, so to speak, left, went home. And that's the last they've seen of him. I don't exactly know what's going on, but I'm leaning more toward the end that this had to do something with some personal issues that he was having, and perhaps some professional issues that he was having, despite being a very bright person, at least according to his credentials. But that is not stopping from people from going the other way. Hey, they grabbed him, they kidnapped him, they're silencing him because he said so. He did not say anything. Remember, Newswire said it was an anonymous doctor who made certain statements back in January. They did not give the name of the doctor. But the minute that this guy, I think his name is Timothy Cunningham, goes missing, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, that's a doctor right there. Him. He's the one that said it. And now he's missing. So you know what that means. That is basically how this is played out. So you can see how a conspiracy can start. I can just get on the internet right now and put a story up about a flu vaccine or a measles vaccine or whatever, and let it float around. And before you know it, it's going to end up in someone's timeline on Facebook. And before you know it, it's going to end up in 15 other people's timelines. And then hundreds of people. Then thousands. And before you know it, it's spreading like wildfire. But when it comes to these type of things, like I said before, do your research. Don't always take these things at face value. I had to learn that myself. I had to develop a discipline and learn this myself, that when a story pops up, I don't just run with it. Because I fell for that before in the past. Look at your sources. Not because your best friend shared it and you know him to be honest or her to be honest that they won't be sharing nonsense, doesn't mean that you should still not go and check that story out. And source it. Find the sources. And I always point out, because this is where it happens most of the times, because remember, I learned something in high school that if you want to capture someone's attention with a book, you get a very creative title to capture a person's attention. Well, what they do with these conspiracy sites and blogs, they use certain words. Words like whistleblower, exposed, hidden secrets, hidden truth. Whenever you see those words preceding a title or somewhere in a title, do this. Because somewhere, somehow, somebody's most likely about to tell you a pile of crap. There's a lot more I could say about this. But again, I'm out here in public. It's a little bit distracting, so my train of thought might not be completely fluid right now. So sorry about that. But I just want you to just basically give some advice. Again, I've fallen for it. I've been down that road before. You're spreading stories that are unverified, that are not peer reviewed. And of course, you go to websites and blogs nowadays that use certain things in their names, like science, health, natural. And when you see that, people, they tend to try to give themselves some sort of credibility by including those in their website name or their blog name. But it's no different than a guy on television telling you about medicine or some sort of vitamin or whatever the case might be, with a doctor's suit on, a stethoscope around his neck, and you see the small print down below. The person is not really a doctor, just an actor pretending to be one. But yet they're going to tell you about some life-changing thing that you can take or drink or eat. That's going to make a difference in your life. Snake oil salesmen are not always some weird guy in the street. So you have to be careful of that. But by the same token, there are professionals out there. Yes, they make mistakes. They sometimes lie. They sometimes come up with the wrong whatever. But it's a little bit better to put your trust in the professional when it comes to medicine, when it comes to science and certain things. It's a little bit better to put your trust there, if you're going to put your trust out there, than Uncle Roscoe on the sidewalk who drinks beer all day long and can tell you everything about what happened from the time began to now. So we have to be careful where we're getting our information from and how we're sharing it. So with this story with this doctor right now, all that we know for right now is the man is missing. Another little bit of details that came out of it is the fact that he was up for promotion and did not get the promotion. And after that news or those words or whatever the case might be, he went disappearing. He disappeared. What happened? Yes, it's anyone's guess right now. And of course, conspiracy theorists are taking their stabs at what they believe happened. And their narrative is he worked for the CDC. He must have known something or was about to expose something or was exposing something, and they got rid of him. I'm sure maybe even after they come to a conclusion as to what happened. Say this guy just ran away from home and decided he wants to hang out on the beach in Bora Bora and get away from life over here. They're going to probably still say, hey, they ran him out of the country. For his sake and for his family's sake, I hope he's safe wherever he may be. And I hope that if he is safe, he gives an explanation as to what actually transpired here. Now, of course, he can always come forward, and he can also be a person that says, hey, I didn't get this job, so I'm just going to go ahead and smear the CDC. Who knows what we're going to get out of this? But for right now, all we know is that he is missing and that he did not get a promotion that he was looking for. That's all we have to go by right now. Anyway, I'm going to end this video right now. It went much longer than I expected to. But this is your Serial Cynic, and I want to thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe. You can put comments at the bottom, questions, thoughts, or whatever they may be. Okay? I appreciate you for checking in, okay? And until the next installment, you guys take care. Again, this is your Serial Cynic. Bye-bye.